This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. We're in scenic Black Hawk, Colorado, at the place to play poker, the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. We started 3 days ago with almost 750 players. Now we're down to 5. And all eyes are focused on the prize of over $245,000 and an HPT championship. The remaining players include a cattle rancher from Wyoming, a construction worker from right here in Colorado, and a woman who is looking to become only the 3rd female champion HPT history. Highlight this talented final table. With over $245,000 on the line tonight, this is the HPT.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome to the HPT this week at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor in Black Hawk, Colorado. I'm Chris Hansen, and the man to my left actually thinks that adventure hiking in the mountains is climbing up a flight of stairs at the hotel. He's Fred Bevel.
At this altitude, getting out of bed is a cardio workout for me. We started with almost 750 players, and after the elimination of professional poker player David Baker, our TV final table is now down to 5.
David Baker came to this final table as one of the short stacks, but quickly doubled up and started gaining momentum to make a run. He was poised for his 2nd straight double up that would have put himself in very good shape. However, the river crushed those plans.
It was one of the worst beats we've seen. David had wired queens against Carla Sabini's Jack Queen, and Carla flopped top pair, and David had her right where he wanted her. They got it all in on the turn, and then the river brought a jack, giving Carla 3 of a kind, sending David to the rail in shock.
Fred, I'd like to say that's probably going to be the final bad beat of the night. I have a feeling it might not. Let's meet some of the players at this final table and then get right back to the action.
My name is Jeff Wertepny. I'm from Longmont, Colorado, and I'm a laborer out here.
My name is Rich Perigo. I'm from Thornton, Colorado, about an hour from here. I'm a computer architect and electrical engineer with a bachelor's degree from Georgia Tech.
Mike Harris, Newcastle, Wyoming, and I'm a cattle rancher.
If I had win of $250,000, it would make life especially a lot easier for my family, for my church, and for me especially. I mean, I'm looking at retiring in a couple of years, and it would definitely come in handy.
It's pretty simple at this point. I'm the short stack, so you know, it's pretty much shove all in with a decent hand. Pick spots, try to pick up some blinds, and try to double up with a decent hand. You know, maybe get an overly aggressive big stack to dump some chips off to me.
I usually try to play poker about 2 to 3 times a week. It's about 100 miles to our closest casino, Deadwood, South Dakota. You guys have been there. Get up there a couple times a week. Kind of has a rule.
The big prize tonight is $245,000.
It's all big money right now, my friend. The first person eliminated tonight still goes home with just under $60,000.
Right now, Carla is in the lead with 8.8 million chips.
And Dan, second place, is almost half of that. And the 2 short stacks are Jeff and Rich with just 8 and 5% of the chips in play, respectively. Poor Jeff Winterby. He has been card dead this whole table. You would think patience would be a virtue. He'd start going on a run right now. Action this hand will start with Dan. Deuce 8 goes quickly into the muck. Here is Carla Sabini, by far the most aggressive player at this final table. And she's going to continue those aggressive ways. She's going to raise it to $200K with Ace-Jack suited.
Carla was doing great at the final table, but then Fred really pushed herself into a commanding chip lead when she knocked out David Baker from this final table with a miracle jack on the river. Jeff is folded, and now action is on Rich.
Rich folded the Chris Hansen hand, jack 9.
Hate to see it. Such good quality starting hand thrown to the muck.
And here is Mike Harris. Mike was once the chip leader at this final table. He doubled a couple of people up and has been grinding back ever since. He's going to see a flop here with Carla with a suited ace.
Blinds start at this final table tonight at 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante. Mike is checking in the dark, and here's the flop. It's 8-3 king with 2 hearts.
Well, Mike has picked up a pair of 3s, and Carla's got the nut flush draw. Mike checked in the dark. Carla's going to go ahead and check behind.
So here comes the turn. It's a 10, Mike's first act.
Well, right now, Mike still has the best hand with the pair of 3s. Carla with the better draw, though.
Check.
Mike's going to play it safe. He continues to check, and Carla says, no, I'm going to make you see the river. It's going to cost you $400,000. Mike says, no, thank you. And Carla Sabini again takes down another good-sized pot.
An unfortunate situation kind of led Carla to this final table 3 years ago. Was in a horse riding accident. During her recovery, she said she picked up the game. And Fred, here she is at our final table. And here she is raising. So she raises with King 10. Jeff, our short stack, goes all in. 10-4 for Rich. And he will fold. And now to Mike. Mike's got Ace King.
The best drawing hand in poker could give the wired pair some action here. Mike waiting for a count of Jeff's chips.
780,000 chips.
Question here is Mike going to call, or is he going to re-raise to isolate and get Carla out of this pot?
What was that total?
780,000.
Thank you. Total was 780. The total all-in raise was to 780.
Kind of an interesting spot for Mike here. He is going to go all in.
All in. Come on, Mike.
And now back to Carla.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Carla gets out of the way, and so Mike and Jeff will be heads up for Jeff's tournament life.
Race.
Well, Jeff is ahead, but he's got to fade the paint.
Pocket sevens for the 1 seed. Ace king, big slick for the 3 seed. The sevens in the lead on
Mike hoping he doesn't double up yet another player at this final table.
And here we go. The flop is 5 ace deuce, and Mike hits his ace and pulls ahead.
Now Jeff is on the bottom looking up. He's going to hope to find one of the 2 7s left in the deck.
The turn is a queen of hearts, and so only 2 cards can save Jeff, or he'll be eliminated in 5th place. And here we go with the river. It is another ace, and that is going to do it. Jeff has been eliminated, and finally for Mike, he says, well, on the 3rd try trying to eliminate a player, I finally get it done.
Good luck, everybody. I feel really good. I had a really great time. The cards didn't come my way, and what are you going to do? I mean, I was not getting any. I was like card dead there for a while, and what I got was 7s, and I pushed in, but I had a great time with the HPT.
Plenty more poker action from our final table here in Colorado when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's meet the rest of the players at our final table tonight.
Hi, Dan Jensen from Denver, Colorado, and I work in the construction industry. We build electrical power plants.
Hi, my name is Carla. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, now residing in Castle Rock, Colorado. I'm an accountant, and I'm here to play and win this event.
I've played poker all my life. It started when I was a little kid. My dad taught me how to play. Currently play 3 or 4 times a week, usually here at the Golden Gates. Like playing the tournaments.
I'm very, very, very patient. I fight all day long because I deal with audits a lot because of my job. So I am very stubborn and pig-headed, so I'll fight. Like, you can knock me down, I'll get back up and continue. So I'm very patient, and I could read people really well.
Something else I love about Carla is that she has no idea how much money she is playing for today. She said she did not want to know what first place money was at this final table.
Well, it's probably helping her game out because she is playing fearless. She has almost half the chips in play. The short stack after Jeff's elimination is now Rich with only 7% of the chips in play. Both Dan and Mike sitting fairly good right now. Everyone looking to make a run at Carla Sabini.
And this is the closest to her. This is Dan Jensen from Arvada, Colorado. Says he plays at Golden Gates all the time. He figured, why not play in the tournament? And look at this, makes a final table. He makes it $275,000 with ace-7 offsuit. Carla folds, and now we're over to our short stack.
Rich looking for a spot to get him in the middle here. He's going to try to get a good flop with King 3 of diamonds.
Queen 3 offsuit for Mike in the big blind. He will fold his option. And so it's Rich and Dan seeing this flop together as 4 players remain at this final table. Flop is Jack 10 King.
Well, Rich has got what he wanted. He's flopped top pair, but he's got the weak kicker. He checks over to Dan. Dan with just ace high is going to check behind.
Comes the turn, and it's another 10.
And here's where Rich needs to make a move. Get some money in there. Try to get value on your pair.
Even though he hit the king, it's not the most comfortable feeling when you have a 3 kicker, especially when you called the raise from the under the gun raise.
He is going to fire, though. $350,000 is the bet. And now over to Dan, who's really got ace high and a gut shot straight draw. He'll be hoping to find an ace or a queen on the river if he sees a river.
And he will not. What Rich will see is winning yet another hand.
Blinds continuing on at 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. We see Carla Sabini folding. Over to Rich.
Short stack on the button. Gap connectors that are suited. $350,000 is the bet from Rich. 4th place tonight will walk with $73,000 in cash. And Carla, don't listen, but our winner tonight leaves with $245,000. Dan will call out of the big blind, and so once again it's Dan and Rich seeing a flop together.
2 players. Let's go and see the flop.
3, 9, 5 rainbows are flop.
Action will start with Dorsey to Dan.
And we start with Dan. He checks.
Dan has the best of it right now. He's flopped top pair. He's going to check over to Rich and see if he does the bidding for him, and it looks like he will. Rich is going to fire $450,000. Now Dan just wondering here, do I flat call? Do I raise here? It's a pretty innocuous board. It's a rainbow flop with no texture whatsoever.
Well, personally, when a short stack raises, you got to give him credit for some kind of hand. But Dan says, well, here's what I got credit for. I got $1.9 million in chips. What do you think of that, Rich?
1.9, the raises the total to 1.9.
Well, this will pretty much be Rich's tournament life here if he continues on in the hand.
Which I don't see him doing. No, he will fold. And the small stack at this final table loses some of the chips he'd just gotten back those last couple of hands. Rich is ready to go in first act here. He folds. Over to Mike.
Mike, a cattle rancher from the state of Wyoming with the coolest shirt ever.
And he folds, and now to Dan. Dan's got pocket kings. Speaking of the Cowboys.
Dan's going to make it $350,000 to go with a wired pair, and Carla Sabini just do 6.
When a re-raise?
Now that doesn't stop her from re-raising, though. I love her spunk.
Fred, I could have swore I just heard her say, I'll re-raise.
Yeah, that's what she said. You know, Carla has fired 4 bullets into this tournament. She said she loves the re-entry format of the HPT because it gives her style of play a chance to recover from a bad beat, or in this case, an untimely raise. And it's $685,000 for Dan to call. The question is he going to raise?
Dan is closest to Carla in the chip count. Does he have what it takes as we play shorthanded here to re-raise? He does. He's all in.
Well, I think he played this one just a little too fast here. But either way, Carla is going to easily make a fold with just 6 high. She's going to put on her acting hat and pretend like she's got a big decision.
I fold.
And Carla does fold, and so Dan is going to win a pot against the chip leader and get even closer to Carla Sabini. More poker when we come back on the HPT. Thanks for coming back to the HPT at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. We are in Black Hawk, Colorado, just outside of Denver.
Carla Sabini right now with a chip lead, but look who's climbing up the ladder. It's Dan Jensen, now just a couple of million away from Carla. The short stack is Rich with under 1 million chips in his stack and only 10 big blinds. And Michael Harris, the one-time chip leader, still looking okay with 18% of the chips in play and 33 big blinds.
Back to our final table where the next person to leave walks with $73,000 in cash.
Man, that's a lot of money.
I can't tell you who that will be, but I can tell you that, Fred, it won't be you or I.
That's true.
Rich is going to be first to act in this hand. Although, Fred, I do have to pat myself on the back, and you can go ahead and get some of that if you'd like to as well. One of the side events here at the HPT at Golden Gates this week. Thank you very much, four-way chop. That would be me in one of the 4 ways.
Congratulations.
You know what they say about dogs and squirrels and nuts in the sunshine? I got all of that this week here at Golden Gates. All right, so we're now over to Dan in seat 4. He will fold.
275?
Yep, total.
Rich made it $275,000 with his ace-jack offsuit. Carla, who never met a big blind she doesn't love to call with, calls with jack-6 of clubs.
All in dark.
Carla checks in the dark, and Rich goes all in the dark.
Well, this is fun.
$245,000 on the line. These guys are making their actions in the dark. I love it.
Here comes the flop. It's 5-4 ace. And lucky maybe for Carla, she didn't hit a jack.
I fold.
Fold.
This will be the second time in as many hands Carla's had to fold to an all-in bet against her.
Listen.
And Rich is going to win. And Fred, I don't know if he'd have gotten any more chips out of that pot anyway. He did hit the ace, but Carla got absolutely nothing out of it.
Blinds continue at 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante.
All right, Michael, King 9 of clubs.
Love that shirt. I'm going to find out where we got that shirt. I'm going to buy 2 of them, one in blue, one in a charcoal gray, because it brings out my eyes.
Just when I think I know a person. $650,000 is Mike's raise with King 9 of clubs. What about the hat? You willing to do that?
I might do the hat. We'll see. I'll try one on.
If you do the hat, I'm off the project. All right, Carla now looks down at ace-king, and this is where somebody who has been aggressive as Carla is with the chip lead might be able to get paid.
This is Rich with ace-9. Be very careful, my friend.
All in.
Oh, he went and did it. He's all in, and he is absolutely going to get called by Carla. I can't imagine Mike going on in this hand, but Carla definitely is going to make this call.
Started with the C3 line, 650. I call by the 6 seat. Now a re-raise by your 2 seat.
As I said, Carla, with the amount of action she has been involved in so far at this final table, called out of the small blind. I think Rich has figured this out, that she'll call with pretty much anything. However, she hasn't been calling all-ins with pretty much anything.
Well, Mike Harris asking for a count here. And he's just got King 9 suited. And you got the aggressive chip leader to act behind you. I can't imagine Mike continuing on in this hand, but boy, if I had a nickel for every time I've been wrong on this show, I'd be a gazillionaire right now.
Well, I know Carla wouldn't be asking for the count, and she's patiently waiting her turn.
I'll make this guarantee to you, though. If Mike just calls here, Carla is definitely shoving all in. And there'll be another $670,000 in dead money in the pot.
Fold. Fold.
I call.
But Mike does not make the call. Carla snap calls.
And here we go. Ace King is going to try to knock out Ace 9 and in very good position to do so. The big stack jumping all over the short stack here.
Well, Carla needs to fade 3 outs, and she will eliminate a player at this final table and get us 3-handed. She goes to her respective corner where her fans are.
Let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
Rich's tournament life is on the line, and here we go. Here comes the flop. 5, King, Queen.
It's not over.
And that puts Rich in a very bad situation.
Yeah, Rich is going to need to find running 9s in the turn on the river here to suck out. The only thing you can hope for a chop with a Jack 10. Oh, why did I have to go and say it?
Action
There comes a Jack on the turn.
You can do this.
Well, the 9 is no good for him. He is hoping for a 10 on the river to chop this. Otherwise, Rich is going to the rail in 4th place.
Red 2.
The river is a 3, and that's going to do it for Rich. He's going to be eliminated, and the short stacks chips will now be moved on over to the big stack.
I got my work cut out for you now.
I feel great. It was a good run. Caught some good cards earlier in the tournament, just to get to the final table, and didn't have the cards that Carla had there at the end, so I had to make a few moves just to try to stay alive. But in the end, you got to catch the cards at some point.
Well, we are now halfway to our newest HPT champion in the 3rd event in a row here at Golden Gates that have eclipsed the $1 million prize pool.
An amazing thing to have happen. This is a 20-table poker room, 4 day 1 flights we do here, and this dealer staff and floor staff are absolutely amazing here at the Golden Gates Casino.
Well, Dan raised it to $300,000 with Ace 10 of spades, and Carla calls with King Jack offsuit. Action is now on Mike in the big blind, and Mike likes his price with Ace 6 out of the big blind. Don't know about that call. And so all 3 of the players remaining at this final table will see this flop together. And here comes the flop. It's Queen 9-6 with a couple of hearts. Mike is checked.
Mike has the best hand right now with a pair of 6s. Carla has picked up a gut shot straight draw. She's hoping to find a 10.
Everyone's checking, so quickly here comes the turn. It's a 6 of spades.
Well, it gets even better for Mike Harris. He now has trip 6s.
He checks again over to Dan.
Mike hoping that Carla does the bidding for him.
But Dan is going to be the one who is betting $450,000.
And Carla right now with no pair, just a gut shot straight draw, is going to smartly fold. And look who's waiting in the weeds. Mike Harris with trip 6s. I like to see Mike just smooth call here. But when you grab chips with 2 hands, that's usually not a sign you're just smooth calling.
And Mike just calls.
Excellent play by Mike here.
So let's see what he does on the river.
Oh, it was just 50 extra.
He is going to be first to act. He checked dark, pre-flop, and then checked on the turn as well.
River card, please.
And now here comes the river. It is a 7 of spades, so Mike's first to act, and he quickly moves all in.
Well, my goodness here. Mike stepping on the gas pedal a little too hard. I think you should have bet. An all-in bet might be a little much. You want to get called in this spot.
And Dan will fold, and so Mike is going to win a pot and move closer to maybe being the HPT champion. More poker when we come back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. I'm Chris Hansen with Fred Bevel, and it's time for our pro tip of the week. And Fred, when it comes to poker playing pros, there's not many better, if any, than Phil Hellmuth. And tonight, Phil gives you instructions on proper bet size.
Proper bet sizing is super important. I've been accused of not properly sizing my bets. this last couple of years. And you know what? There's some truth in it. So I looked into some proper bet sizing because I like the concept. And the more I play poker, the more I play no limit, the more I agree that I haven't been sizing my bets properly. It's hard when you're a part-time player or you're not playing all the time to size it properly. Now that I'm playing no limit hold'em a lot the last few months, a lot of no limit hold'em, I'm saying, oh yeah, you know what, they're right. I mean, when you raise it up with ace king and it comes king 9 deuce, and you check or you bet 20% of the pot or 10% of the pot, or maybe you have pocket kings when it comes king 9 deuce, it's almost a tell that you're not betting very much, that you're strong. Go ahead and fire 60% of the pot when you hit it. They're going to call you or they're not going to call you. But if you're just going to make these tiny little bets, you're not really getting the maximum, and you're actually sending a signal that you could be really strong. So I like 60% pot size bets when you hit your hand or when you're bluffing.
Congratulations to Mr. Helmuth. Another bracelet. Are you kidding me?
Amazing.
Carla's got the chip lead, but Michael and Dan are both battling it out for second place at the moment.
Carla's got a commanding chip lead, too. She holds 54% of the chips in play with just 3 players left. Carla could become only the 3rd female HPT champion in our 8 seasons of history.
All right, Fred, instant pop quiz. Who were the first 2?
That would be Mary Jo Belcourt-Zogman and the lovely Mrs. Jenny Krewald.
Very good. You've been paying attention.
Thank you.
All right, action is on Dan.
I don't know why you gotta do me like that.
Mike raised it to 200,000, and Dan calls out of the small blind.
Everybody
now over to Carla, and she will call as well. So once again, all 3 players are going to see a flop together.
Go ahead and do that flop, mate.
Here we go. The flop is 7-5-9.
Well, Mike has outflopped everybody. He's got the pair of 9s in a gut shot straight draw. Dan also has a gut shot straight draw, and Carla Sabini right now with just ace high, but you got to think she's still going to win the hand.
Well, Dan bets 400,000. Carla folds, and Mike is raising with top pair. 1.2 million is the bet.
Mike keeping the pressure on. Dan's got to get tired of this. I know these 2 gentlemen have gotten friendly over the hours of play they've had at the poker table, but eventually you're going to defriend someone on Facebook with this kind of stuff. And Dan didn't want to, but geez, he had to. He is going to fold. And Mike Harris moving in the right direction right now.
Here we go. The blinds are now up. The blinds are 60 and 120,000 with a 20K ante. So Carla folds. We're over to Mike.
And Mike is going to limp in from the small blind with connector cards.
And back to Dan with ace king of clubs.
Just ship him in, Dan. Just ship him in.
Call.
Dan raises to 400,000, and then a call from Mike.
Total of 520 raised and a call.
So we're heads up here with Mike and Dan. And here we go. The flop is 4-7-4.
And we hear Mike check. He's got 2 pair. Over to Dan with ace king. Read chapter 1 in any poker book on the shelves. It says don't overplay ace king.
Walk into any card room in America and you will find people overplaying ace king.
It's because most poker players don't read books.
And Dan is betting it's 400,000. Over to Mike.
Yes, 400,000 is the bet. Now we go back to Mike Harris in the 3. He says raise it up.
And Mike continues to push the action. He will not call. He's going to make it 1.8 million. And Dan moves all in.
Raise amount. Raise amount.
Now what do you do if you're Mike?
Well, Mike took off his glasses to stand up and look at this board. This is serious stuff right now.
Can Mike pull the trigger?
Diamond draw?
Dan finally said enough is enough. He gets it in on a bluff, and Mike is going to make the call. Turnover 8-7, and he can't believe it. He's ahead.
And Mike does the cowboy dance there when he finds out he's ahead.
Well, it ain't over yet. I wouldn't put the horses in the barn quite yet, Mike. We still got 2 streets to go. The turn is a 6 of hearts.
Jesse must be his horse. Or is that the dealer? Jesse might be the dealer.
And now an ace or a king on the river, or it is time to say goodbye to Dan. And here comes the river. It is another 6, and that's going to do it. Dan Jensen has been eliminated in 3rd place. He picked the wrong time to stand up to Mike, and all of Mike's pushing over the last couple of hands paid off for him in the end.
Great run for Dan Jensen, though. He's going to go home with just under $90,000. Oh, man, that's a pile of money. Let's hear what he has to say about his final table tonight.
Great tournament. It was good to make the final table, but you're always disappointed when you lose and you're not first.
$245,000 on the line tonight. More poker when we return. Welcome back to the beautiful Rocky Mountains. We are in Black Hawk, Colorado, just outside of Denver at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. And welcome back to another $1 million prize pool here at Golden Gate.
Carla Sabini has been the chip leader most of this final table, trying to only become the 3rd female ever to take down an HPT championship. But Mike Harris, boy, he was kind of struggling most of the day, but he has really jumped up in chips, up $5 million since we last checked in. They're both pretty much neck and neck right now.
Mike moves over to seed 2, Carla now to seed 5, and for Mike Harris, he was kind of the 3rd horse in the race, and all of a sudden, Fred, he is making a big charge here at the end, and we almost start this heads-up battle at even.
And both players starting with big holdings, too. Carla has peeled back ace-jack. Mike looks down and finds king-queen.
Well, Mike's on the button. He is first to act. And he has raised to $410,000. Back to Carla. I would imagine she's raising.
Well, she is just going to call the $410,000.
Carla, you've been aggressive up until this point. Don't stop now, honey. Here we go. The flop. It's 8, deuce, 6, rainbow.
Both players missed this flop. Carla's got the best of it right now with ace high, but she's going to check over to Mike, who was the original raiser. Let's see if Mike can fire a continuation bet here. And he can. He's going to fire $800,000.
I fold.
And Carla smartly folds, and she taps the felt, says nice hand, and we move on to the next one.
Blinds are still 60 and 120,000 with a 20K ante. Second place tonight, 139,000. First place tonight, $245,000 in cash.
That is a lot of fun.
410.
Both these people leaving with 6-figure paydays tonight.
410.
The only thing to decide is the first number a 1 or a 2?
Carla raises to $410,000 with 10-7 of spades.
Call.
And Mike is going to make the call with queen 5 offsuit.
And so we'll see a flop. It's 7, deuce, 4, rainbow.
Well, Carla gets the best of this. She flops the 7. And Mike is going to come out firing here.
8.
He fires another $800,000.
Call.
Look at her, just nice and easy. Nice and easy, smooth call there by Carla.
This pot getting very large. This could swing the chip lead in Mike's direction if he wins this. The turn is a 3.
Well, that 3 helps Mike out a lot. He's picked up an open-ended straight draw. The first bullet was a stone cold bluff. The second bullet, if he fires one, will be a semi-bluff. Carla still has top pair on the board.
If Mike checks here, I would bet that he would be getting a free river. But it doesn't appear that he is going to be checking. Here comes the bet. It is $1.5 million.
Fearless bet from Mike Harris. And look at Carla. She's just ho-hum, easy call.
Do you think Carla checks behind if Mike checks in this spot?
You know, I really don't. I think Carla has been firing almost every street when she can. She's very aggressive. It's a Quebec thing.
Okay.
People in Quebec are pretty aggressive.
Spend a lot of time north of the border, do you?
No, I've never been there, but I watch a lot of National Geographic.
Okay. Here we go. Here comes the river. It is a king of hearts. And so now what is Mike going to do? He has missed, but that doesn't mean he won't fire on the river, but he does give up.
1.5.
And I don't know why Carla is betting. There was no reason for Carla to bet. She is going to end up winning. Fred, a bet like that on the river, the only way you get called is if you're beat.
Especially with a king coming on the river. That was a little bit risky.
Action is first on Mike on this hand. He's 60 years young from Newcastle, Wyoming.
And he's just going to limp in with King Jack. And Carla, obviously, is going to raise it up. She makes it $920,000.
Now, if I was Mike paying attention, she made the raise to $920,000, and as soon as Mike said, I call, she went back to her cards. I don't know if that's giving anything away, but if I'm playing, I might pick up on something like that. The flop is
Check.
Queen, Deuce, 5. Carla hits her 5 and checks.
Mike quickly checks behind. Onto the turn we go.
Turn is a 10. Is Carla ready to bet?
Neither player wants to bet at this.
All right, here comes the river. It is a king. Carla's first to act after Mike hits that king. Carla bets $1 million.
I call.
Mike makes the call, and he rivers Carla.
5.
Kind of wondering why she didn't bet the turn, but in the end, Mike is going to win a nice pot here. More heads-up poker when we come back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Follow us on Twitter at HPTFred and at HPTChris. We'd love to tweet to you.
Carla, still the chip leader, has 54% of the chips in play, but Mike Harris hot on her heels right now. Just looking for that one big swing hand, and this could go either way yet. Action in this hand will start on Carla. When your head's up, the button goes first.
Pocket jacks.
Pocket jacks is an amazing hand. Heads up. She's going to make it $570,000 to go.
570.
Over to Mike.
570.
Mike is going to make the call with a suited ace-4.
Mike playing in his 5th HPT event. Carla playing in her very first. And here we go. The flop is ace 10-3. Mike has outflopped Carla.
Mike has hit top pair here with the aces, and this could be bad news for Carla. And look at this. It's like watching the train come down the tracks. Mike makes it $1 million. Carla instantly raises it to $2 million.
Mike quickly calls. Well, now this is where you do wonder if you are Mike. Okay, I realize I did hit the flop, but wait a second. She raised pre-flop, but wait a second. She raises a lot pre-flop. I don't know what's going on. I've got a terrible kicker. Please just get me to the river. The turn is a 6 of clubs. Okay, that's a little better for Mike.
It gets a lot better.
A little
for
more
Mike.
comfortable now.
He's got the nut flush draw as well as top pair, and he's going to fire out another $1 million. And Carla, with her wired pair, all she's worried about is the ace.
Well, that's a lot to worry about when you got pocket jacks. No raise this time from Carla. She calls. And the river is a 3 of clubs.
And it just got really nice from Mike. He had it the whole way, and he improved to the flush on the river.
Mike's first to act.
Over $6 million in this pot right now.
Mike is going to take over the chip lead here. There is no scenario I can see that Mike is going to fold.
And Mike is going to fire another smokestack on the river.
And is Carla figuring out finally that, wait a second, I might be beat.
It's a great bet by Mike, because
$3 million.
Carla can't fold for $1 million. But I wouldn't raise either, Carla.
Wow.
She's going to make it $3 million.
Mike goes all in, and Carla has to call. Oh, my gosh.
No way Carla's calling the all-in here. I can't imagine that. And this is the hand that Mike Harris has wanted. A huge swing pot here.
She only has 3 million chips left. She has to fold here, Fred. She can't think her jacks are any good any longer.
Fold.
Well, Carla made a couple of missteps in this hand, but she's been playing great all night long, and she does have to fold here. And she just bled off a lot of chips.
She shows one card. Is Mike going to show anything? He shows the ace of clubs, letting her off the hook, knowing that she was beat. And ever since Mike started picking on Dan immediately to his left, it has all been going his way. Carla's going to be raising up now with 8-10 of hearts.
That's a raise to 485.
Keep in mind, there's about $90,000 difference between first and second here. Over to Mike, and Mike is calling with Queen 5 of clubs. Again, our third event in a row here at Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor to go over $1 million in the prize pool. Flop is ace-9-5.
Mike paired his 5. Boy, when you start running good, you start running good. Carla just with 10 high right now. And Mike is going to bet. He makes it $400,000.
And a call has been made. Mike bets 400.
All right, so the $400,000 bet is called by Carla. And here comes the turn. It's another 5.
On the turn. Once again, so Mike's going to check over to Carla.
He checks. Carla's betting $800,000.
Carla on a stone cold bluff, playing with nothing but heart in this hand. Unfortunately, she's playing into trip 5s.
And Mike calls, so here comes the river. And the river is a deuce.
Check.
Mike checks over to Carla.
I'm all in.
Mike very smartly checks, and he gets what he wants. Carla goes all in. Mike makes the quick call.
And that is it.
Fives.
I'm done.
Carla shows 10-8.
Nice hand.
Oh, what a match. Having the chip lead for most of this final table, and Fred a dominant chip lead. She just rode that big stack until she got heads up, and then it was one hand she couldn't get away from. And ultimately, that's what made Mike Harris our newest HPT champion. Fred, Carla had a great day at the final table. She really hit a big springboard early on when she hit a jack on the river. I'm guessing she really enjoyed her time at our final table.
I'm actually surprised. I didn't know that I was the highest female winning female in the HPT. I was very surprised. Darvin Moon informed me of that at the break. And I was hoping to take first. I told you when I came in I wanted to win this thing. I didn't want second, but I'm happy with second. This is like amazing for me. I've only been playing 2 years or 2.5 years, so to even be here for me is like a miracle. And it's only because of the HPT that I could be here. So thank you, HPT. You run a great tournament.
All right, thank you very much, Carla. And Fred, you admired his shirt from the very beginning.
It's a very nice shirt.
Which I got to tell you, you do not have much of a fashion sense. But he does like the shirt. We'll have to maybe see if you can get that out of Mike now that he's got a lot more money to go buy a brand new shirt. Let's hear from our newest HPT champion.
Well, there was one point where it kind of seemed like Carla was just going to run away with everything. I kind of figured at that point the only thing that I could do and keep myself in the running was to try to get something done and just try to outlast enough people to get down to where I was going to be only up against, 2 or 3 of them. And after we finally got Dan kind of wore down a little bit, I really felt I had a good read on Dan. I was taking a pretty big chance. I knew he had 2 overs, but I really felt I had a good read on him. And once we got Dan kind of down and out of the way, then I knew the only way to come after Carla was to get aggressive. She's a very aggressive player, And I pumped up my game a couple notches, and it happened. I hit a couple of good cards too, but that's what the game's about. So, I'm going to say she's a very dear girl. very dear girl.
Well, one last congratulations for Mike Harris, our newest HPT champion. Fred walking away with over $245,000 in cash. And this is our third time in a row here in Colorado to go over $1 million in the prize pool. Come on, Colorado. Let's get to 1.5. I know you can do it. Maybe you want to join us next time. You think you've got what it takes to sit at our final table? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.